Sit down on your own couch tonight and lean back the way you always do and pay attention to what rises up off those cushions. Go on, I'll wait. That smell, you know the one. It's not dirty exactly, it's just tired. 11 years of Sunday afternoons, maybe more, sitting right there in the fibers. Now before you pick up the phone and call a man to bring a machine into your living room, or before you drive down to the hardware store and rent that big steam rig they keep by the front register, I want you to hear me out. What I'm fixing to show you costs about $3, and I'd put it up against anything that machine can do. I'm Robert. I'm 102 years old, and I want to tell you something my mother figured out on a farm in a county that didn't have running water yet, let alone a carpet steamer, let alone a truck that pulls up with hoses running through your front door. Every Saturday morning, rain or shine, my mother hauled the parlor chair cushions out onto the porch. She had this wooden spoon, not a fancy one, just the one she cooked with all week, and she'd hold that cushion up by the corner and beat it 30 times, maybe more, and you'd see this cloud rise up in the morning light, this gray fog just hanging there in the air like smoke off a chimney. She'd cough a little, wave her hand in front of her face, and keep right on going. I asked her once why she bothered, since the cushions still looked the same to me after, and she said something I've carried with me for, must be 90 years now. She said, "Dirt turns to dust before you ever see it, child. You catch it while it's still dust, it never gets the chance to become dirt." I didn't understand her then. I understand her now. That's really the whole secret, sitting right there in one sentence, and everything I'm about to walk you through is just her idea, built out a little further, using what's sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now instead of a wooden spoon and a porch railing. Here's a number that might sting a little. Go ahead and look up what folks are charging these days to send a truck to your house and steam that couch. Most places run somewhere around $170. Some of them, if you've got a bigger sectional or they talk you into the deep treatment, will run you clear past $200, and I've seen folks online complaining about bills closer to $500 for one afternoon's work, and you know what that machine is doing in there. Mostly the same 3 things sitting in your pantry can do, just with a bigger motor attached and a nicer invoice. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the fellow with the truck does nothing. He's got heat and suction that's stronger than anything you'll ever plug into your own wall outlet. And if you've got a couch that's been rained on and gone moldy underneath, or a stain that's been sitting there since the Ford administration, he's probably your best bet. But for the ordinary tired couch, the one that just smells like a house full of living, the one with the dog hair worked down into the seams and the smell of 11 winters, you don't need him. You need about 20 minutes, and you need what's already under your sink. Nobody tells you that, of course. I don't know why exactly. Maybe it's just easier to sell a truck than a box of baking soda, but I'll let you draw your own conclusions on that one. I've got my suspicions. Let's get on with it. The first thing you do, and this is the part almost everybody skips straight past, is the dry work. No water, no soap, nothing wet touches that couch yet. This is my mother's porch trick, just brought indoors. Take the cushions off if they come off, and if they don't, that's fine too. You'll just work them where they sit. Get yourself a wooden spoon, or honestly a rolled-up newspaper works just as well, and beat that cushion, every surface of it, about 30 times. Hold it by the edge so you're not just pressing dust deeper into the fill. Watch what happens. The first 10 hits, you'll see it. This fine cloud lifting off the fabric, catching whatever light's coming through your window. By the time you get to 30, there's almost nothing left rising. That's the difference between dust that was sitting loose on the surface and dust that's actually worked down into the weave. And you want to get that loose layer out of there before you ever introduce a drop of anything wet, because wet dirt turns into paste, and paste is exactly what makes a professional job cost $170. After the beating comes the vacuum, and I need you to actually time yourself here, because this is where most people cut corners without ever realizing it. Get the narrow attachment, the crevice tool they call it now, and work it down into every seam, every fold where the cushion meets the back, every crack along the arms. That's where the smell actually lives, in those dark little pockets nobody looks at. Then switch to the wide brush and go over every flat surface. I want you giving each cushion, each section, a full 60 seconds. Count it out if you have to. Most folks spend 10, maybe 15 seconds per spot and call it done, and that's simply not long enough to pull anything meaningful out of a woven fabric. And here's a part almost nobody thinks to do. Pull that couch away from the wall and vacuum the floor underneath it. Go on, look under there sometime, you'll be surprised. A good deal of that smell isn't even coming from the cushions themselves. It's rising up off whatever's collected on the floor beneath, and no amount of scrubbing the couch is going to fix a problem that's actually living under it. Now we get to the part that does the real work, and it's nothing but two things you already have in your cabinet: baking soda and cornstarch, mixed in equal parts. A cup of one, a cup of the other, stirred together dry in a bowl. Baking soda pulls in odor. Cornstarch pulls the oil, and I mean the oil off your own skin, the kind that works into any fabric you sit against day after day, and it's that oil, more than the dirt itself, that gives a couch that heavy, tired feeling. Together, those two things break up what I call the sticky feeling in old upholstery, that slightly damp, slightly greasy hand feel a couch gets after years of use. Sifted over the whole couch the way you dust sugar over the top of a cake, a light, even layer, nothing piled on thick. If it's just your everyday couch, give it 45 minutes. If it's an old one, or if there's a dog that likes to nap there, and Lord knows most of them do, give it 3 hours instead. Then vacuum it off, working in two directions, first with the grain of the fabric, then against it, to pull the powder up out of the weave rather than just off the surface. Before you go any further, and I mean this, test a hidden spot first, the back of the cushion, the underside where the fabric folds under. Some dyed fabrics don't take kindly to that baking soda paste, and you want to know that on a spot nobody sees before you find it out on the cushion facing your living room. Give it 5-10 minutes and look for any change in the color. Most of the time nothing happens at all. But most of the time isn't good enough when it's your good couch on the line. Now here comes the part that surprises people, because they expect a wet rag in a bucket, and that's exactly the wrong idea. You want foam, not water. Foam. Take a quart of warm water, add 1 tablespoon of clear dish soap and 1 tablespoon of baking soda, or washing soda if you happen to have it, that works even better, and whisk it hard for about a minute, the way you'd whip up the whites for a meringue, until it stands up stiff on top, almost like shaving cream. Here's the thing nobody explains to you. You only ever use that thick white foam sitting on top. You never touch the liquid underneath. It's the soap doing the actual work of lifting the dirt, and the water underneath is only there to carry it. It does nothing for you sitting in a bowl, and it does plenty against you if it soaks down into the cushion. That's really the whole secret behind why the fellow with the truck can charge what he charges and still leave your couch dry enough to sit on the same afternoon. His machine sprays the mixture and vacuums it right back up in the same motion. You're just doing the same trick by hand, a spoonful at a time. The water is never the thing that cleans your sofa. It's the thing that ruins it if you don't know what you're doing with it. Scoop that foam up with a soft brush. An old toothbrush does the job fine on the seams. A slightly bigger soft bristle brush for the open cushion faces, and work it in small circles, section by section. Don't drown the fabric. You're laying a thin layer of foam on top, not soaking it through. Then take a white cotton towel, dampened, not wet, and press down on the section you just worked. Don't scrub. Press, lift, press again, a different clean patch of towel each time. You'll see it. The towel starts picking up color, a faint gray or yellow tint depending on how long it's been since that couch got any real attention. That pressing motion is doing exactly what the extraction machine does, pulling the dirt back up out of the fibers into something you can carry to the sink instead of grinding it back down deeper the way scrubbing does. Once you've worked your way across the whole thing, go back over it with a light spray, a little white vinegar cut with water, nothing strong, just enough to rinse away any soap film left behind, and wipe it down one more time with a dry towel. Then open a window if the weather allows it, or set a fan running nearby, and let the air move across it for a couple hours. That's really all there is to the drying. No machine, no wet cushion sitting damp for 2 days smelling like mildew because somebody used too much water and didn't know any better. By evening, most couches done this way are dry enough to sit on again, and they smell like nothing at all, which, when you think about it, is exactly what you want a couch to smell like. Now, I'll tell you plainly where this method has its limits, because I've heard from enough folks over the years to know it doesn't fix everything. If your couch is silk, or if that little tag under the cushion says dry clean only, don't put a drop of anything wet on it, not this foam, not water, nothing. That kind of fabric can water stain permanently, and there's no undoing it once it's done. And if your couch has been sitting through a roof leak, or there's a real mildew smell coming up from deep inside the cushion, not just old and stale, but that damp basement smell, this method will cover that up for a little while, but it won't touch what's actually growing down in the foam underneath. That's a job for somebody who can pull the whole cushion apart, and there's no shame in calling that fellow with the truck for that particular problem. He earns his money on that one. But for the ordinary couch, the one that's just carried a family through a decade or two of movie nights and Sunday naps and a dog who thinks that spot by the armrest belongs to him, this is really all it takes. 20 minutes of beating dust out on a porch, or in your case, maybe just out on the back step. A vacuum you already own. A box of baking soda that costs less than a cup of coffee. And a little patience while it sits and does its work. I think about my mother out there on that porch some mornings coughing in that gray cloud, and I think about how much she'd laugh if she saw what they charge people now to do the very same thing with a hose. She never had $3 to spare on a Saturday morning, so she found a way to do it for nothing but a little elbow grease and a wooden spoon. And here we are all these years later, and it still works exactly the same. None of this ever really went away. It just got set down and forgotten while everybody went looking for a machine to do it instead. The knowledge is still sitting right there in your kitchen cabinet, same as it always was, waiting for somebody to remember it. So pick your worst cushion, you know the one, don't pretend you don't, and try this on it before you spend a dime renting anything. And when you're done, leave me a word down in the comments and tell me how it turned out. Did that foam trick surprise you the way it surprised my own granddaughter the first time I showed her? I read every one of those comments, even the ones that come in weeks after I've moved on to something else, so don't think it's going nowhere. Next time, I want to tell you about a jar my grandmother kept way at the back of her cupboard, behind the flour and the baking soda. A stain remover she made herself that you will not find on any store shelf in this country, not now, not back then either. It's a stranger recipe than this one, and I'll admit I was a grown man before she ever told me what was actually in it. I'll see you then. There's a fella 2 roads over from where I live now, name of Dale, who tried this same foam trick on his recliner about a year back, and he called me up laughing so hard I could barely make out what he was saying. Turns out he'd been sitting in that chair every night for going on 6 years, same spot, same angle, watching his shows, and the fabric right under his own 2 hands, where he grips the armrest getting up and down, had gone nearly white, it was so worn and oiled through. Everywhere else on that chair was still its regular brown color. He said the foam pulled so much color and grime out of just those 2 armrests that the towel looked like he'd wiped down a car engine. That's your own skin doing that, mind you, not dirt from outside, just years of hands. I bring up Dale's chair because folks ask me all the time whether this only works on couches, and it doesn't. Recliners, dining chairs with the cushioned seats, the bench seat in the back of an old truck if you've got one sitting in the barn, Same rules apply, same foam, same dry beating first. The only thing that changes is how long you let the powder sit, and that depends on how much padding is underneath. A thin dining chair cushion, maybe 20 minutes is plenty. A recliner with 3 inches of foam packed in there, you're better off leaving that powder on overnight if you can stand to have the room look a little dusty till morning. Now, car seats are a different animal, and I want to say this clear because I've had folks write in and tell me they tried the whole business on the bench seat of their truck and ended up with a ring of white powder ground into the vinyl trim that took 2 washings to get out. Cloth car seats, sure, this works fine. But if you've got the newer kind with a good deal of vinyl or that pleather material along the sides, skip the powder step entirely and go straight to the foam, because that powder likes to work its way down into the seams where vinyl meets cloth, and it just sits there looking like dandruff no matter how many times you vacuum. Little thing, but it'll save you an afternoon of frustration. My mother, she never had a car seat to worry about. Nobody in our family owned an automobile till I was near on 11 years old, and even then it was my uncle's, not ours. But she did have the buggy seat, the one my father built for hauling feed, and she'd give that the same beating every couple weeks whether it needed it or not. She used to say a thing that stuck with me. She'd say, "You don't wait till it's dirty to clean it, you clean it so it never gets the chance." That's backwards from how most of us live now, if you think about it. We wait till the smell gets bad enough that we notice it, and by then the dirt's had months, sometimes years, to work its way down deep where a quick pass won't touch it. There's a reason for that beyond just her being a tidy woman, and it's the same reason this whole method works as well as it does. Dirt sitting loose on the surface of a fabric is easy to remove. A good beating, a vacuum, 30 seconds and it's gone. But give that same dirt a few months, let somebody sit on it, let a little humidity work through it, and it bonds to the oils already sitting in the fibers. Now it's not surface dirt anymore. It's embedded dirt, and embedded dirt is exactly what that $170 machine is built to fight, because a light vacuuming won't touch it once it's gotten that far in. So really, the secret isn't just the foam, and it isn't just the baking soda. It's doing it before you think you need to. Twice a year, spring and fall, whether that couch smells like anything or not. That's the schedule I'd set you on if you want my honest opinion. Not once it starts bothering you, before that. I got a letter, an email. My granddaughter reads them to me and types back what I tell her to say, since I never did take to typing myself, from a woman out in, I believe it was Ohio, who told me she'd been putting off calling a cleaning service for 2 years because money was tight that particular stretch, and she tried this on a whim on a couch her mother had left her. She said the couch had been through 3 grandchildren, a dog that passed a few winters back, and one memorable Thanksgiving where the gravy boat tipped clean over. She didn't expect much. Said the foam alone pulled up enough grime that she had to change out the towel 4 separate times just working one cushion. And the smell? She used the word childhood in her letter, said it smelled like her mother's living room again instead of just a old couch nobody quite wanted to sit on anymore. That's the part that gets me every time somebody tells me a story like that. It's never really about the couch. It's about getting back something that felt lost, a smell, a room, a version of a house you remember from before. Funny thing for $3 of baking soda and cornstarch to hand back to a person, but there it is. Now, I mentioned dish soap earlier for that foam, and I want to clarify one thing because I've had people write in using the thick-colored kind, the stuff meant to cut grease off a cast-iron skillet, and it works, but it leaves more of a film behind than the plain clear kind does. If you've got a choice sitting under your sink, reach for whatever's clearest and plainest. The fancier bottles with the added moisturizers and the blue dye, they're lovely for your hands, but they don't rinse as clean out of upholstery, and you'll end up with a slightly stiff patch where you work the foam in hardest. Small thing. But it's the kind of small thing that separates a couch that looks clean from a couch that looks like somebody spilled something and wiped it half off. One more thing before I let you go tonight, and this one's for the cushions that have zippers, which most of them do these days. Don't be afraid to unzip that cover and pull it clean off if the fabric allows for it. A good many of them can go right in the washing machine on a gentle cold cycle, air-dried, not tumbled. Tumbling heat can shrink a cover just enough that it never quite fits the cushion the same way again, and then you're stuck wrestling it back on like trying to get a sweater onto somebody who doesn't want to wear it. Cold water, gentle cycle, hang it to dry, and you'll get a deeper clean on that cover than any foam treatment could ever manage, because now you're working the whole piece of fabric loose from the foam instead of trying to clean it while it's still stretched tight around the cushion. But that's a step for another day, not tonight. Tonight, just try the foam. Try the dry beating first, same as my mother did on that porch, and see what rises up off your own couch before you ever get near a bottle of anything. I think you'll be surprised, same as Dale was, same as that woman in Ohio was, same as my own granddaughter was the very first time I showed her this in my own front room, holding that towel up to the light and asking me why nobody had ever shown her this before. I don't have a good answer for her, honestly, other than to say some things just get set down along the way and nobody picks them back up again until somebody old enough remembers to hand it over. That's what I'm doing here, best as I can, one Saturday at a time.